Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome back to season 2, episode 8 of the SurgeCast, presented by Primo X Hockey, Level Up Snacks, and In the Clutch Apparel, and powered by Belly Up Sports. I'm your host, Bailey Curtis, and you will notice that my co-host, the one who started it all, Zach Martin, is not here this week. He is moving and gave me reins of the podcast this week. So we are hosting Girls Night here on the SurgeCast. You will notice I have 3 lovely guests here with me today, 2 of which you will probably recognize because they have been on the pod before. Starting off with Sam Wismer. Sam, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's a little bit nerve-wracking kind of being a host, so we're going to power through it. But yeah. Oh, I know. It's something, it's definitely new. Next up, we've got Kat Hunter, TikTok extraordinaire for the Canes. How are you?
I'm doing well, and I think this is going to be fun. We talk over Zach anyway, so I think we've got this.
Oh, yeah. No, totally. Who needs him, right?
Yeah, he just feels that anyway.
No, we love you, Zach. And then to introduce our newest guest, first-timer here on the podcast and first podcast ever, we have Juliana Moore. Jules, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How does this feel, being on your first podcast?
It's a little nerve-wracking, but I'm here. I'm excited and ready to talk about what we have to talk about today.
And we have a lot planned. So like I was kind of telling everybody before, when we were kind of trying to set up like topics and stuff like that, there was nothing new nothing new dropping. There was nothing topic wise for us to talk about up until like a few days ago when it was just like boom, 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 boom content. And honestly, it's a lot. So we can go ahead and kind of start getting right into it. And the first is actually somewhat Canes related, but it's more gearing towards our AHL team, Chicago Wolves, which I'm so glad we have Sam here on the podcast today. Brock Sheahan has just been named the new head coach to replace Ryan Warsofsky as the head coach for the Wolves. Sam, what do we know about him?
So just first off, congratulations to Ryan for getting that assistant head coach.
Absolutely.
In San Jose. Please let them be a better team. You have Oscar Lindblom. Please be a better team.
Yeah.
But yeah, Brock Sheahan came from Chicago Steel of the United States Hockey League, and he has had the last 2+ years as head coach there, and he led the Steel to a championship of the league in the 2021 season.
Okay.
But prior to that, he spent 4 seasons as assistant head coach and associate head coach at the College of the Holy Cross, and 1 year as assistant coach at his alma mater, which is Notre Dame.
Okay.
And then he played 4 years at Notre Dame from 2004 to 2008, and he was alternate captain in his senior year. And he helped Notre Dame reach the national championship game that year. And he went on to a 5-year pro career, mostly in the ECHL, which is basically a level below the AHL. And he played 1 game in the AHL with the Houston Aeros in the 2009-2010 season.
Okay. So from what we know, he's pretty seasoned with the game of hockey then. So
yeah. And I think with him being in the United States Hockey League and just having that experience and leading these guys, he can definitely develop players. And I think that's super important, especially with being in a development league like the AHL.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, because that was the one thing that the one big thing and question that I've kind of had too is we had Andrew Rinaldi on the podcast a while ago, and something that we talked about really heavily on that podcast was how similar Warsofsky's and Brenda Moore's coaching styles were, and how they complemented each other really well for guys breaking that NHL roster and coming into the bigger league. Do you know a lot about his coaching style, or how do you think that's going to kind of present coming onto the stage?
I don't know much about his coaching style. I know Wendell Young, who is the Wolves general manager, he basically said we were looking for a good communicator who knows how to win, and having won a championship as a head coach is quite an accomplishment, and he knows how to communicate with both players and the staff, and he brings all those credentials to the table. I know that in the AHL head coach and then obviously the NHL head coach they kind of communicate with each other to see like, hey, do you want me to do this with these guys? Like, how do you want me to try and develop these guys? Do you want me to use your system? Do you want me to use my own system? And I think it's better to have that communication than when these guys get sent up, they get shocked. And it's like, oh,
right.
Like, I just did one style of play, and now I'm in the NHL, and it's a different style of play.
Right.
You know, and some NHL head coaches don't care. They're just like, do whatever you want.
It's kind of big shoes to fill, because I feel like that's a good deal of success for last season is we had to call up some Wolves, and they fit in seamlessly.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, they're ready to be on the team. And I feel like other teams, when they had COVID issues and they had to pull up guys, it was like, oh, that really hurt their team. But we were like, we're fine if we pull them up. It's no different. So I feel like for the new coach, it's a big that's in big shoes. Not only winning, obviously, that championship, but like how seamlessly they work together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with having an NHL head coach like Rod Brind'Amour, Rod will give chances to these guys that are brought up. Like you automatically saw he pulled Piotr in, he pulled Drury in, he pulled Chatfield in. Like, some coaches aren't like that, and they're very hesitant to give these guys chances. But it's like, how else are they going to get the experience to come up?
Mm-hmm.
Especially after the success with Jarvis. Like you pulled
him off.
Oh well, he did. I can't even still can't believe we had the discussion of, is this guy going to be on the team?
I know.
And now we're like, oh, of course he's going to be on the team. So I mean, I feel like that next discussion is probably going to be with Drury. It's going to be like, or Chatfield, like, be like, are they going to be on the team? And it's like, well, of course they should be on the team, but we have so many guys now.
And the thing is, before Pacioretty and Coughlin kind of came into the picture too, Chatfield was basically a shoo-in in almost every single scenario that I had seen too. So we know, and this is something we say and talk about all the time too, these guys are ready to see an NHL roster. It's just a matter of where exactly are they going to see that. And you saw a lot of that this past off season, where guys are signing off to different teams and where they might have like that better NHL chance.
Which with Bear and Gardner that are still a little bit of question marks. Like Chatfield might still, like, even having Coughlin, that wasn't like, oh, that means Chatfield's not in. It just means we do have someone there, and someone that's a pretty solid person in case we don't get this figured out. But I mean, you know, our GM is, I don't know what he does. It's miracles. But it always works out. So,
and to think we always used to doubt him.
He still makes me nervous.
Yep.
I was going to say, in regards to the AHL guys trying to fit into the lineup too, it gives them a competition level of, hey, I want to be here. The coach is giving me a chance. Like, I need to make this moment worth it.
Oh, absolutely. And Drury was a big one that stood out to me when he was brought up. And like, he took that 15-minute elevator conversation equivalent to the NHL and totally
scored every game.
Right. He used it to his advantage. And that's exactly what these guys are looking to do when they get brought up.
And I think
so it'll be interesting to see how his coaching style aligns with Brind'Amour's, as well as getting these guys ready to have that moment of, hey, this is your time, like, you know, use it wisely.
Right.
Yeah. And because we have such a young core, like, they're going to be comfortable coming in with, like, Just Barry and Jarvis. Like, they're going to have that comfort of, there are guys my age. There are guys here that are going to be learning, but they also have that experience. So it's a competition while also not feeling like you're the young kid outsider, then you also have their experience, but then you also have the older experience of not just Stahl now, but with Burns.
Yeah.
Guys have been around a couple of rinks.
Maybe just a few. No, but yeah, it's super exciting.
But Bailey, Kat, and Jules, what have we learned from not doubting the GM?
Well, I like Kat said earlier, he still makes me nervous beyond all belief. So I will trust in him because this offseason he has not done anything to piss me off.
Even with the new deal, he just get like, it's great, but I don't know where we have that money because technically we don't. It says we do. But we don't.
Yeah.
Carolina's over. My co-host for Mike Haynes' podcast made a valid point. You're $2.5 million over the cap now.
Yeah. And that's too, because technically Patches is still like, he's not on LTIR yet. So we don't get that cap relief.
So I think what Carolina's doing, similar to Philadelphia, because Philadelphia has Ryan Ellis, and Ryan Ellis is pegged to not start the season.
Right.
His condition is degenerative, and I feel like he's not ever going to play again, but I could be wrong.
Right.
I didn't think Gardner was going to play again, so you never know, but it's unfortunate.
Yeah. I technically don't think at this point they can LTIR somebody without losing money.
Yeah.
Because, it would put Philly under the cap by like almost, I think, $6 million.
Yeah.
To LTIR Ryan Ellis. It would put you guys under the cap to LTIR Patches.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there's certain circumstances, and I just think teams are doing it smart to wait to the first day of the season and be like, okay, this guy's on LTIR.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because they have till then to basically play around with their cap space. Because
we're guaranteed Patches is going to be LTIR. Like, there's
right. It's just a matter he's not there yet. So
yeah. Right. So I know they understand it. Again, it just scares me because I feel like sometimes it sounds like we're playing with Monopoly money, and I don't know how it works. So I'm just here like, okay, it's like playing with fake money, but like later we have to use it for real. So that's the only thing that nerves. But besides that, I mean, I trust him. He hasn't really made any big crazy. I mean, some people think KK is like our one mistake. They think that so far. I know. Yes.
Okay.
But that's the one deal. I think that's the only trade deal thing that everyone has been like, I don't know about this, just because of the price point. Right. But besides that, he hasn't really done anything to make us worried. I just, when you don't know how someone does their job and the ins and outs and background, it just makes you nervous because you're like, I want to know.
Yeah.
Well, at least we're not Islanders fans.
That's a good point.
This is true.
I mean, I don't know. Would you rather be here's the hard question. Would you rather be an Islanders fan or a Yotes fan? Where what do they just call their new place?
Mullet Arena.
Mullet Arena.
It fits in perfectly with that crowd, though.
Yep.
But which one would you rather be? I don't know. And earlier in the trade and everything, I'm sure Calgary was really scared as well. So sometimes things just come out of nowhere. But
Calgary won.
Calgary
for a while it didn't look like they did.
No.
Their fans were ready to hit the ceiling. They were like, what is happening? So I don't know. I don't think every GM is a miracle worker. I do think the Islanders I think maybe they just gave up. I don't know. But
did you see my facial expressions? Not every GM is a miracle worker. Of all people, I know.
But he's still not as bad as the Islanders. So it could always be worse. The grass is always greener. The grass could always be more dead.
Right.
I mean, I've questioned some of Don's choices, but honestly, they've all worked out so far, and he's honestly fleeced some people before, so I'm here for it.
Even if they don't go with my personal choices. Even if they don't go with our personal choices of who to keep, But that's, it's fine.
He didn't ask me for my opinion, so.
I wish he did, and I'm sure everyone on Twitter wishes he did. But you know,
no, and that's
he
what
gets
I
paid
always.
the big bucks not to.
That's what I always say to people is like, we can whine and complain and cry about it all we want, but we're not the person in that seat making those decisions. So whine, cry, and complain all you want. Half the time the GMs have burner accounts, they see this, but they're not taking it into consideration because guess what? It's not your job.
Nope.
It's their job.
No.
As much as we wish it was.
As much as we wish we were all keyboard GMs. We're not.
I mean, I kind of do, but kind of don't, because I feel like the pressure that they have sometimes, like, I would pass out.
Again, Monopoly money. Like, how does it work?
Yeah.
I figure out my own credit cards, and that stresses me out. I can't imagine having that much money to just be like, yeah, sure, I'll spend it.
You know, and it makes you think about it too, because who are the other guys? We've started it, like, there have been rumors going around that we've bid on like super high priced guys. Like, there's rumors coming out. We've been in trade talks with Patrick Kane. We're talking about Sonny Milano. Paul Stastny was a big one before, you know, all that happened. We'll get into that here in a little bit, but it just makes you think, like, it's exactly Monopoly money. Like, where do we have the ability to be able to even consider these big signings?
Well, yeah.
And like, I know people see like these AHL signings come out, but you got to look, is it an NHL contract or is it strictly an AHL contract? Because if it's an AHL contract, it's strictly coming from the AHL club, not coming from the NHL.
Yeah.
So like Drury and Chatfield, if they're two-way contracts, they're coming straight from Carolina's cap hit. They're not coming from. If it's an AHL contract, so like if they were to say they were to re-sign Polarowski and it was just an AHL contract. He's in Seattle, I'm gonna cry. If they were to ever re-sign him and it was an AHL contract, that money would strictly come from the Wolves. That would not come from Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah. And the thing is too, I feel like this offseason, especially because we've done so well getting into the playoffs, is there have been a lot of big names that we've been thrown around with because I think a lot of people really would think about playing with us. I think Moore has built such an atmosphere and we have such a good team energy, team like chemistry, everything, that so many people probably do want to play with us.
No, and it's something I know you and I have talked about.
That's the only thing that holds back people is money.
And I know that's one big thing you and I have talked about on the podcast before when you've been on before, is that that energy and that environment is obviously getting around the league. And it's something that definitely draws a lot of people. Like, I mean, we look at Brent Burns. Brent Burns didn't have Carolina on his destination list, but look at what happened.
And he's already
something that doesn't draw people is apparently the outdoor game, because every single person. So we're having an outdoor game?
Yeah.
You know why? Because it was delayed for a year and stupidly.
We've only been looking forward to it for like 5 million years.
Everyone in Carolina is like, yeah, we have an outdoor game. We have been counting down the days to this outdoor game. And everyone's like, yeah, really? And I'm like, do you pay attention to the news?
But here's the thing. In Carolina, it could be 95 degrees or it could be 20 degrees in February.
Yep.
So
there's
like
no way of knowing.
How are they going to keep the ice cold?
Yeah.
For the ice's sake and for my sake. Because one thing I love about hockey is I'm not sweating while watching it.
True.
Yes.
Well,
then granted too, we're not covered in as much gear as the guys are actually playing.
That's
but
true.
We layer, but not that much.
10-hour drive and forth. Sorry.
Speaking of chemistry, no, you're good. Speaking of chemistry, here's a question. Out of all of the former Hurricanes players, who would you bring back to play under Rod in this team environment that we have now?
Ooh, that's a good question.
It's a good question, because some of them I would want to bring back, but then I remember technically they did play under Rod because he was a coach. He just wasn't head coach.
Okay, head coach.
No, but I wonder if that would make a difference to them, you know?
Yeah.
They still had his leadership, but not the same. But to be fair, I mean, he's a better head coach.
Fair.
I have mine already. He's already said it. I would bring back Elias Lindholm ASAP.
He was going to be brought up at least once today.
He had to be brought up at least once, okay? But no, I would love to see how he would play under Rod as a head coach. Mm-hmm. But honestly, as much as I was devastated that he got traded, he was better off, at least for a few seasons, in Calgary with Goudreau and Monahan and all of them. But I don't know if he would fit in with the group that we have today.
And see, that's why it's such an interesting question for me, is like, it's hard to imagine, because I started getting into hockey, like I've mentioned multiple times, during the 2010-2011 season. And so while I remember some of the guys from the roster, I wasn't really big on the whole chemistry aspect and what goes into a coach being a good coach and players being successful. Because, I'm getting into it where I like the dark ages are coming. So I don't really know good Canes hockey at this point.
I remember watching hockey then too. And I don't remember being as like so invested in the team. Like you would watch them in the, like with their locker room videos of them coming through the hallway and their little things where they do their little handshakes or their little like fun little like
their little ritual things. Yeah.
Ritual things. I don't, and like, again, like social media is involved. We probably didn't see all of that, but it also, like, I don't remember that being such a big thing then. And to be
I don't think it was.
To be fair, like, but with the coach and with the players that were there and kind of like how the seasons were going, I could see that it was just like, I'm here to play and survive.
Yeah.
Like, you're my teammate, but I don't know if we have this bond like we have now, especially because the guys now are so young and they're coming up together and they're like, they've played together. You have, even though there's a little bit of age difference with Aho and Turbo, like, because they're from the same country, they're very much like, you see them more as brothers, even though Turbo is kind of like, it was a mentor for a while. So,
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I feel like the chemistry aspect just recently happened with Rod becoming head coach. And then even like our captains. I mean, I'm sure, and I know Eric Stahl was a great captain, but you now have Jordan. And you also have Jacob Slavin as your alternate. And I feel like when those things started to fall into place, that the whole chemistry of the team just completely changed.
Oh, yeah.
And when we brought back Williams, honestly, I think Williams really helped. Because you had the kind of old energy and Stahl, but like he's such a quiet leader, which is great. And that's kind of why we have the balance of Slavin is also kind of a more quiet leader, but you have Walmark and Aho brings the energy. I think it was really good when we brought in Williams because he also was the like experienced player, but he had the energy of the younger players. And he was like, I want to show you why it's so fun to play. Like, I want to tell you why I'm coming back because you're going to miss it when you don't have it anymore. And I think he really helped set up the chemistry, and we kind of, I attribute like the Storm Surges and stuff to him, and I wish he would take them over and do a little bit more creativity with them still, but I love that. Like, I feel like I attribute a lot to Williams and what he did with our team on those last couple of years.
Oh yeah. And that's kind of what Bailey said earlier. Like, that chemistry, I feel like, is part of what brings players like Burns and other people to the team, because they just see how they are together and they just want to be a part of it. Because I know at one time, being a lifelong Canes fan, nobody wanted to play here.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to get traded. Nobody waived their no trade contract to come here.
Yeah.
But then, now you have players like KK coming where he's leaving, sorry, Habs fans, but leaving a little bit of a toxic place to come to a place that's more fun.
Right.
I mean, honestly, he wouldn't have signed that offer sheet if he didn't want to come here, is my personal opinion.
Yeah. No, I wholeheartedly agree. But no, awesome. Well, before we start getting into more official, unofficial Canes content, we're going to go ahead and pause here for an ad break. Only time you're going to hear Zach's voice. I'm going to go ahead and pause, throw it over to him to shout out our wonderful sponsors of the podcast. And we will be back here in a little bit.
Hey everyone, we'll get back to the rest of the episode. I just want to take a quick minute to talk about our amazing sponsors of the podcast, Primal X Hockey, Level Up Snacks, and In the Clutch Apparel. First sponsor we have to talk about, it has to be the original OG from the day one sponsor, and that is Primal X Hockey. If you're looking for anything from stick tape to stick protectors, outdoor pucks, anything you can think of, you name it, they have it from indoor to outdoor with amazing apparel as well. You gotta check out the guys from Primal X Hockey. Really great group over there. Been to the warehouse, really, really nice. Cannot speak highly enough of these guys. The great thing too is they're based in Raleigh. So if you're in the Raleigh area, look at the pickup from the actual warehouse. They can do that. If you're also looking to get your stuff shipped, they also do that as well for free shipping all across the United States. And the best part is, I got a discount code for you guys. So if you go to primalxhockey.com and use the code SurgeCast, in all caps, you get 20% off your order. Like I said, you cannot find a better group in terms of just having great hockey equipment and even apparel. We got hats, we got koozies, we got t-shirts, hoodies, all that great stuff. So make sure to go to primalxhockey.com. Use the code SurgeCast so you get 20% off your order. And like I said, you can do pickup at the warehouse or you can get it shipped. That is how amazing these guys are, and it's fast. So why not go check out Primal X Hockey, where you get all your great hockey equipment, and you can support the podcast and support them because shop local, support local. Next sponsor I want to talk about is Level Up Snacks. If you're looking to take your gaming to the next level, make sure to check those guys out because they have really great, amazing, drinks. They got watermelon, they got green apple. I'm a big watermelon guy, but I don't know, that green apple tasted really good. It gives you like good focus, 0 calories. Why not enjoy some great hydration while you're playing those games to take your game to the next level with these guys at Level Up Snacks. And the cool thing too is they got snacks coming soon and they got fast delivery. So why not join the Level Up fam? Go to levelupsnacks.com, and if you use the code SurgeCast, that's right, another SurgeCast code, you get 10% off your order. Just go to levelupsnacks.com, use the code SurgeCast to get 10% off your order with some really great quality drinks and snacks coming soon as well. The last sponsor I want to talk about is In the Clutch. If you go to intheclutch.com, where they have amazing MLBPA, MLSPA, NCAA, and vintage sports designs on all 100% licensed products. Like I said, really great, amazing stuff. They even got hockey on there too. So if you're looking for, a Cincinnati Sting, or if you want to look for Mighty Ducks, Cincinnati Mighty Ducks t-shirts, they even got the New England Whalers t-shirt. Anything you think of for hockey, they got them over there. Plus, amazing on the courts as well. And the cool thing too is, we even got some merch over there as well within the Clutch. If you go to their hockey section, look at the SurgeCast, we got a t-shirt and we got a hoodie. And another great thing too is, we got another discount code in there as well. If you use code SURGE, you get 10% off your order within the Clutch. Really great group over there. I cannot highly recommend them. Their products are amazing. Definitely check them out. So remember to go to intheclutch.com and use the code SURGE to get 10% off your order. So big, massive props to Primal X Hockey, Level Up Snacks, and intheclutch.com for being able to help support the podcast. And like I said, if you guys use SurgeCast at primalxhockey.com, you get 20% off. Use SurgeCast at Level Up Snacks for 10% off. And if you use Surge at intheclutch.com, that's another 10% off. So why not help support the podcast by also helping out the sponsors as well? Now, without further ado, let's send it back to the rest of the episode.
And we are back. So to get into the next thing to talk about, and I know Kat has been particularly excited to talk about this one. So there have been particular rumors floating around for a little while about a particular jersey situation. We all know and love our alternates. The alternates are a fan favorite across the league. And it was just officially announced that the black alternates, are going to become our brand new home jerseys, replacing the original red with the logo you'll see behind me on the YouTube channel behind me. And reds may be no more. Kat, what do we think about that? I personally am a huge fan.
Okay. My personal thing is, first of all, I love the Reds. Okay. The Reds were a thing for us, like, lifelong. Okay. Personally, my first jersey was a red Wards jersey. Like, that was my thing. Yep. And I don't mind reds. I personally don't always think I look great in reds. That's a personal opinion. So my next jersey was the black for, obviously, my boy Slavin. I don't understand. I don't want to rant because I've been ranting all the last couple of days. When this black jersey came out, everyone was so excited because they were like, that jersey is fresh. It has such a good design. I mean, it has the two, everyone in North Carolina knows, the hurricane flags, the storm warning flags on a hockey stick. And then with that, like, if you can look between the two flags, it has the outline of North Carolina. Like, that is beyond clever and very well done.
Oh, yeah. Great graphic design on their part.
Everyone loved these jerseys. Like, all around the league, everyone was like, this is one of the freshest jerseys in the league. All right. Haven't heard anything bad about them. For the last couple of seasons, we've had them, like, they've been our, like, weekend jerseys. Friday, we wear black on Fridays. Those things. And everyone was like, kind of like, we get wins in them. And, like, we do that fun thing of, like, you get this many wins in the red and the black and the white. So everyone was like, we want to see more of the blacks. And honestly, in the playoffs, we started to see more of the blacks. So now we're saying, okay, well, they're going to be our main ones, which I didn't hear that we were fully getting rid of the red, and I don't think we ever will. I think it'll be like a special jersey. I don't think we would just have black and white because red is one of our main colors.
Right, yeah.
So I know they probably have something in the works with it, but the amount of people that have been just so upset that we have changed from red to the black that everyone has loved, and all of a sudden they're like, what even is this design? It looks like a bee. Rest in peace to the red. We've had it forever. And it's like, why are we and like you said, we didn't have a lot of topics going into this podcast. Are people so ready for hockey that anything hockey related just causes a meltdown? Because I feel like that's what happened.
We're at that point in the off season, though.
Rest in peace to the red jerseys. And they're like, this jersey looks like garbage. And I'm like, the whole league has said this jersey looks awesome. And you have said it too. And all of a sudden, just because we're going to wear it a little bit more, it's awful. I don't, like I said, my one thing was, I'm trying to figure out, are these the people that were so against change that when we went from the Whalers to Carolina, that they were like, oh no, we're no longer the Whalers. Blah, blah, blah. That's what it feels like. And I'm like, guys, it is a jersey that we've already been wearing, and we just are going to wear it a little bit more.
Yep.
What is the big deal? It looks great. I love it.
Sam. I know what the big deal is. It's
okay. Outsider's perspective. Let's go.
It's the off season and nobody has anything to talk about.
So this was the point that I was trying to make too. It's like we're at that point at the off season. Like the Avs just posted something today. They were like 49 days away from opening night, and I was like, we're so close to the beginning of the season, but we're still that far away to the point where people like freak out because they're in like withdrawal.
And I made this valid point to my co-host. I said, this is the deadest month for hockey. All pods, not just Flyers pods, not just Canes pods, not just Avs pods. All hockey podcasts, even AHL podcasts, are struggling to find things to talk about right now because it is the deadest month.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Now, I know for us in Philly, I don't know when you guys start your training camp in Carolina. I know we start, I believe, September 9th.
Around that time, honestly, sounds pretty right.
They start like the physical portion of it. I know on ice, like training camp starts like towards the end of September.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had some guys practicing and kind of playing around, but we haven't started yet. So I think probably around the beginning to middle of September is when ours also starts.
Yeah, because the first preseason game is September 27th.
Yeah, ours is the August 22nd, 23rd. I don't remember.
Come on, Sam, you should know this.
But no, like when I saw when I was at the Checking for Charity event where a lot of pro players come to, like I saw Johnny Gaudreau, TDA was there. Like these guys are here. Like I know personally from my demographic, a lot of my players are already here.
Yeah, I think because they've been throwing this in my face last couple of days. Nino he was out of the country with Aho, and they were taking a tour around the Swiss Alps. So I think they're still finishing up some trips, but I think they're coming back. Like I think Pesci just did some kids camp, so I think they're starting to wrap up and do their last couple of things before they get in for their workouts and start getting back into it. But yeah, I don't think we have anything else to talk about, and I think that's why this jersey thing went so out of proportion.
My 2 cents on the whole black jersey take is I'm excited. I love it. I think there's too much red sometimes in the NHL.
That's fair.
So I love that we have another color that we're going to primarily use.
Well, they talked about like they're like it's hard to see on the black's hard to see on broadcast, and I'm like, I'm sorry, have you seen our red and white jerseys when we play the white and red Detroit Red Wings?
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah, I don't know who's who in those games.
Exactly.
There's not enough color, and I'm like, okay, so what do you think about like the neon Dallas ones? Like, I need to know. Like, they complain about whichever one you give them. So I think honestly, I like all the black. I think the numbers normally pop on them, and I mean, I don't know. I think
I'm glad that our alternate jersey is a completely different color. I mean, if you look at Calgary's, their alternate is also red.
Mm-hmm.
It's just red and yellow instead of red and black.
Yeah.
So like I'm glad that we have another separate color. I love the redesign that they did a few years ago. My first Canes jersey as like an adult or like an older human that's not like a kid's jersey was a black jersey. And it's completely different from Cats. I went and got it.
The older logo, yeah.
The old logo. So it is just one flag with the triangle.
Which is technically not like someone pointed that out. They like the one. And it's technically, if you know storm warnings, it's not right. It's not a hurricane flag. That is like what, a tropical storm?
It's a tropical warning.
We're not a tropical storm anymore, people. We are full on hurricane.
Right. When we have hurricane warnings here in North Carolina, the double flag goes up.
You could have argued that like 6-7 years ago, but right now.
So I love the redesign of the New Jersey and the subtle details that they have. Because Kat, don't they have the North Carolina flag on the shoulder?
Yeah, so they have the circular logo on one shoulder, and the other one is the North Carolina flag.
Yeah,
right.
So
which is super cool.
I don't know. People were like, it's just they have subtle things, and I'm like, honestly, less is more on a jersey.
Yeah.
Because we're already concerned that brands are going to start putting their logos on the jersey. They're already putting them on the helmets. And I'm like, I love watching soccer. I don't like all the brands on it. So less is more to me. And honestly, from someone that's closet is mostly black things, I love simple black.
Yeah, exactly.
I will say the one thing I think is missing from our black jerseys is that flag stripe down at the bottom. Because I really like that the red jerseys I like that the red jerseys have that. And I think the blacks, if you look at yours, Jules, does it have that little flag stripe on the bottom?
It does.
The difference.
Yeah, so they used to have that and they don't anymore. They did away with it. And I personally really, really loved that.
Yeah. And it's got both of the circular logos on the shoulder instead of the flag.
Okay, so I know for our stadium series, so I know our logo or design has been shown. Have we shown the color of our jerseys yet?
No.
So
everyone's gonna freak out about that, Kat.
Yeah, just hold on. We're gonna freak out about it.
Taking away the red to make that one more special. Like why
I don't know. Maybe I honestly I hope that's the reason. But honestly, it's one of those things too. Like every fan base finds something to complain about in regards to their special game jerseys. Like you look at Nashville. Some Nashville fans really, really liked their outdoor game jerseys. I personally was not a fan of them. I see them and I think of Smashburger.
Yes.
And
yes.
Like that's what I think of. And it's just like I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of it. It was just too much. And I expect too much from Vegas. I don't expect all that done up nonsense from Nashville.
Well,
and
Nashville is like a Southern Vegas at times.
I guess, yeah.
That
is a simple jersey.
This was,
but see, to me, that logo doesn't pop as much as I think it would.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But like, that's fine.
Yeah. I don't know. And so it's one of those things too. I mean, we're gonna find something to complain about.
Every fan base does. Trust me. I know that.
Yeah. So it's gonna happen.
Speaking of jerseys, isn't Adidas no longer doing them? Have we figured out who the new brand is?
Yeah.
I don't know who the new brand is. I thought CCM.
So I saw
mock-ups of people saying
we were hoping
brands would look like.
So I saw something in saying Fanatics was going to become huge. So, and I'm personally not a fan of it.
I've gotten things from Fanatics. I mean, sometimes
just hearing about Fanatics makes my back hurt worse.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm personally not a huge fan of Fanatics just because I don't know. I'm more of an authentic person. I want something that's done like really, really well. And that's it's really sturdy condition. Because the first jersey that I ever had, I want to say it was a Fanatics brand, though I could be wrong. My dad could tell you all about it. But I got the numbers put on at the arena and they started falling off a few months after getting them put on. And I feel like that's the exact same quality that Fanatics kind of brings to it. Like everything but the logo on the front is glued on. Like the logo on the front is sewn in, like the name patch, like the piece of fabric that the letters are glued onto on the back is stitched on, but the letters are glued on, the numbers are glued on. Like it's just so it's cheaply done, which I guess they're cheaper jerseys. They're cheaper alternatives.
Cheaper things. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it makes sense. But if I did see a rumor that Fanatics was going to become that new sponsor and that new jersey or production company, whatever. And I threw up a little bit in my mouth.
So
I'll get my jerseys custom made by my sponsor.
So we just have a bunch of changes coming, it sounds like, because we have the new home jerseys will be black, new brand for the jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have a new name for our building.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is who bought it?
Lenovo. Lenovo has been unofficially announced.
Gross. I wanted it so bad to be Epic.
Epic Arena would be awesome. I know it'd be
that would be so cool.
It would sound so cool.
I'm just happy it's not PNC anymore because they keep screwing my bank account and I'm not.
Well, and it could always be worse. We could be the crypto.com. Like I don't want a website to be the name of my arena. So I mean
it just sounds tacky to me. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
But I mean,
I grew up with it being the RBC Center, and I just got adjusted to calling it PNC Arena, so I'm just super not thrilled to have to learn to call it something else.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like that's how all arenas are, though, too, because I got so used when I moved here calling Ball Arena the Pepsi Center. Yeah. And it took me a little while to start kind of getting under my head or under my belt, whatever, that it is called Ball. And honestly, it rolls off the tongue a little bit better than Pepsi Center. But it's less syllables, I guess.
But when you're used to something
right, exactly
different, which I can understand. That's my one thing with the new jerseys is I'm like, it's not technically new jerseys. You're just putting one more in front. So I'm like, you guys, this isn't even something fully new. Like it's not like this is brand new to you. You've seen them before. It's whatever.
The big question mark now, though, is what's going to be replacing our places alternate jerseys. Because there's been a lot of speculation about that. One big thing I've seen that I know I've heard rumors from kind of people on the inside that the Avs are doing is they're going to be adopting their reverse retros as their alternates. So I almost wonder if that's what a lot of other teams, including us in the NHL, are going to be doing too once they drop.
I've heard and I heard our reverse retros. Like we have our Whalers jersey, but I heard our reverse retro. Saying that is very difficult right now, and maybe it's also the wine. But
oh my God,
the retros I've heard aren't going to be as strong of Whalers as like we initially, because we already have our Whalers jerseys.
Yeah, I've heard that it's going to be like the logo, like we're still going to have the Whalers logo, but it's going to be more done in Carolina Hurricanes fashion,
which is I agree with, because I love that we pay homage to the Whalers. I love that. And but I did see someone saying we should wear the Whalers more, and I'm like, we're not the Whalers anymore. Like, you can say, hey, this is where we came from.
Connecticut, and people from Connecticut will be the first to tell you that too, is the Whalers don't exist anymore. Stop your connection to us. Like, they hate it.
Yeah, like I'm all for like, yeah, pay your respects, but that's not who we are anymore. So that shouldn't be our whole brand. And like, to be fair, that's one thing I've always like, I liked our Whalers jerseys, but when everyone got the really cool retro ones and ours were always kind of played up as Whalers ones, I was like, I'd want to see more of a different kind of retro Carolina one.
And the thing that I really like too is I like that we seemingly are very connected to our past. Like, there are not a lot of other teams in the NHL who will proudly say and like be connected. Like Winnipeg Jets, they moved and relocated from Atlanta. They were the Thrashers.
Yeah, you don't see them honoring Atlanta.
Right. You don't see them doing anything with the Thrashers. And so there are not a lot of teams that really do that kind of thing for their past teams, except for us. I feel like we're at least, and this may be biased too. This may just be me looking through a very small microscope at my team, but I don't see a lot of other teams doing as much as we do to pay respect to our past.
I feel like we do extra. I appreciate that we do. And I feel like we do because in me discussing it with some people who have had their original 16, whatever, like the people that are like, we've been around for forever, they don't like to admit, like, we have technically the Carolina Hurricanes or the Whalers, like they like to blur out that past for us. And so I think we also like to be like, nope, we were around as well. Yep. That's not us anymore. So we've like progressed from that, but we like to say, hey, we did have a past, whereas you like to erase our past.
Yeah.
And we like to say, like, we're not as brand new as you like to think we are, because that's everyone's, they're like, oh, the new teams, the new Southern teams. And it's like, we're not the babies anymore that you think we are.
No, because we came to North Carolina in 97. We're celebrating our 25-year anniversary coming up here. Heard there's going to be a New Jersey for that too, which is going to be really cool to see what they do.
I have so many. Sorry, I can't. I've talked about the jersey so much. It sounded like someone died when they announced this jersey. So many people were like, "Rest in peace to the red ones." And I'm like, guys, it just opens up more things to do.
What I thought was really interesting too is Barstool Sports for North Carolina even shouted it out too. They were like, Caniacs probably aren't going to be happy about this one.
That's where I was like, again, I didn't hear any discourse about it until they announced it. And I'm like, no, most Caniacs are.
Barstool, in my opinion, is just, it brings a lot of toxicity.
I think their brand is they like to spread topics.
They're becoming like the TMZ of sports.
Yeah, because I mean, then you see, we're talking about them because they brought it up. So I feel like that's kind of the role they play.
Yeah.
So
no, definitely. But yeah, no, I mean, I personally am super excited for the fact that we're getting how many New Jerseys this year. It's going to be, it's really cool. And kind of a little bit of a segue into our next topic. There is a new guy on the team that we're probably going to see donning a lot of jerseys in Paul Stastny. Paul Stastny just recently signed a 1-year, $1.5 million deal with the Canes. And something we were talking about a little bit earlier was the young core that the Hurricanes have as a team. I feel like a lot of this offseason has been kind of disrupting that a little bit, with Brent Burns being brought on 36 years old. Patches, he's the same age as Jordan Stahl. Paul Stastny, I want to say, is 35, 36 as well. Older guys. Jules, what are our thoughts on this? Do you know a lot about Paul Stastny? What do you kind of think?
I don't know a lot about him. I kind of followed him when he played for the Avs, and then then he moved on and went to the Blues, and then moved on from them and went to the Jets. And so, he's been on a couple of different teams. He's been in the playoffs before. I don't think he has won a Stanley Cup yet.
Not from what I know.
Yeah. Like I said, I know he has been in the playoffs. I feel like with his age and even Burns, like bringing in a few more older guys is great. Like you said, we have a super young core still. And I feel like bringing in people like Paul, like Burns, kind of helps with, maturing that young core.
Yeah.
You have veteran guys that you're bringing in that have played for so long and have maybe even played longer than some of them, like, were old enough to be in skates.
Yeah.
But I think it's good. Not exactly sure where he's going to fit in, what line, who he's going to be matched with, but even in a locker room presence sense, I feel like it's great. It just adds to kind of the age of the entire group overall. And it's just another person for these younger guys to be like, okay, he's been playing for so long. Like, I can do that too. And also too, like I said, I don't think he's won a Stanley Cup yet, but he brings that playoff experience that, you match him with somebody like Jarvis, who in his first year has one playoff under his belt, but absolutely has no idea actually, the experience of it all.
Like, he doesn't have that veteran presence about him the way that Stastny does. And so I do have a bunch of his stats pulled up. So in his entire career, he has played a total of 103 postseason games in his entire career. And he entered the league in 2006. So 103 games in that long of a time span isn't all that much if you think about it, but it's still a pretty good amount to know how playoffs work, the ins and outs of it, what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do, how different of a game it is compared to regular season, as we pretty recently saw. In that time frame, he had 26 goals, 43 assists, plus minus of 2. So he knows a lot about how playoffs work. And so, and coming off this past season too, kind of getting out of that playoff scene this past season, he's coming off of 45 total points for the season. That's not bad. He's a 20-goal scorer, which is not that top high goal scorer, like that natural goal scorer that we kind of got in Patches, but it's still somebody who's kind of on par with guys on our team, like Aho, like Svetch, like Kat's not going to like me for bringing him up, but like Niederreiter was. And so it's one of those things.
It's a sore subject. I love talking about him, but today especially, this man has been out to get me. Posted these pictures. The Preds posted pictures / thirst traps.
Yeah,
like they know.
Yeah.
But he's good. Paul Stastny is really good at face-offs too. Like he's kind of a medium to high player. Like, he's not like your superstar, but he's not gonna hurt you.
He's not flashy.
No.
Yeah,
right.
And that's it.
He's not there.
Right. And it's one of those things, like, a lot of people that I talk to who aren't like primary Canes fans like to bring this up a lot, is we're not a flashy team.
No,
they're really, like, really good at those greasy, like, get dirty kind of goals. Like, we see maybe 1 or 2 highlight reel goals every season. And so it's one of those things too. Like, it almost makes you think, with Paul Stastny coming off of Winnipeg to join us, what does that kind of do, and playing under Rod Brendamore's system do for his points totals, his goal totals, and potentially either bringing those up or down? Like, how does Winnipeg Paul Stastny differ from a Carolina Paul Stastny?
Right, which is a good point, because, you know, when you have a player, this is any player, but when you have a player and you can move him to another team, and just see who he's playing with, changes everything within that player. And so I'm not exactly sure who he was on a line with back in Winnipeg, but, you know, you throw him on a line with, honestly, any of our guys, you know, there's potential for him to rack up a lot of points.
Yeah.
Honestly, the only guy that I've seen that we've done that with, and to be fair, it was kind of towards the end of the season, so he gets a little grace with that. But the only one that didn't really thrive, except for one game, was Domi. Honestly, everyone else, like, you know, we like to say that we're the second New York Rangers, because we get all of them, all their goals. We've got Foss, we've got Shea, and honestly, but they've all thrived. And even, like, you know, Foss isn't a flashy player, but he's on the line that grinds, and maybe that's where Sassy fits, is that he's on a grinding line. I am a little curious because he's a center, so I don't know where we're going to put him, because I feel like we have a lot of centers, and what we just lost in Patches was a winger.
So I have Daily Faceoff pulled up, and this is a site that Zach likes to use a lot, and kind of looking at new guys and where they might be placed on a team. I personally don't always agree. Huh?
We'll honor Zach in this way.
Yes, exactly. I personally don't always agree with what Daily Faceoff puts up. And a lot of times when we do bring up the Daily Faceoff lineups, we tend to analyze them a lot. So this is updated with Paul Stastny. This is what it looks like. First line, Turbo, Aho, and Jarvis. Second line, Svech, Stastny, Natchez. Third line, Foss, Stahl, and Kasha. Fourth line, Martin, Kokaniemi, and Peterson.
What does defense look like?
Who?
Defense.
Wait, who on the fourth line? Peterson?
Lane Peterson. We got him in the trade with, I want to say.
Who guy we didn't know anything about?
Yeah. So did he come from San Jose with Burns, or was that?
Didn't he come with Vegas?
Was that Vegas, or okay? Yeah,
I think he might have
came with Coughlin.
Did he come with Coughlin? Because I knew Coughlin came.
Well, okay, sorry. That's the one thing I do disagree with. That is, I would say, first of all, no.
Yeah.
First of all, no. I mean, obviously, they're not factoring in us bringing Drury or any of them.
Yeah.
So I would factor in Drury, which is he's also a center. So there we go. But he has played wing, so I can see him being more flexible coming up.
Yeah.
And sorry, I don't know if I catch you off, but I would say they probably want KK on that second line.
And that's the big thing I was going to pull up.
I think he would be fourth line, and he can be his veteran fourth line self.
And it's something that I've seen a lot of people pull up too, and saying that, we paid KK that giant deal, that 8-year, $4.5 million deal, whatever it was, so he could play second line minutes. But I see a few Canes fans just on social media, whatever, saying, what has he done to earn a second 2C spot? Like, doesn't he have to earn that spot?
What is Natchez? I mean, besides his first, like, going off last season, and I know we talk about it a lot. What is Natchez? I know we don't like to put Natchez in the third or fourth lines, but what has he done to earn first or second? And that's the thing with Rob, is that he mixes up the line so much. They probably want to put KK up there, but if he's still struggling or still wanting to adapt, you've got Sassy that can go up there. Yeah, but I could see him probably trying to be more on the. Probably not third, because Rod doesn't like to touch his third line. But we don't know if it's going to be him or Kasha down there. It's it's going to be Stahl and Foss. You just don't know who's going to be,
Right.
But I could see him probably filtering in more on that fourth line. And I know we talked about, you guys mentioned the veteran presence that we've brought. I think we're also filling for the defensemen that were our veterans that we had last year that we have lost. And Cole, them moving on, we did lose some veterans in that. So now we have gained more, some that will stay around longer, like Burns. But I think it's good that we still have none of the veterans are really threatening to our younger guys that are like Spetch, Aho, Turbo.
Right.
Yeah. They're not a threat to them. They're there to kind of not only give them guidance in the locker room and just the veteran presence of like, I've been here before, but also just probably a steady presence on the ice of I'm consistently this. I might not score all these goals, but I will help fill in and I will help cover you if you have an off night. Or I'm here just to work hard so that you're not just busting your butt and I'm slacking. And that's what you get with veterans. Veterans will be there and they'll be like, I'm going to work 100% because you're never going to say Stahl isn't working. That man, he was on the biggest drought of this season. He was on a huge drought to the point where people were like, should he be our captain? Which was, that might be the worst take I've seen.
Yeah.
But, and then he broke it. But you're like, that man is busting his butt and it's all behind the scenes and on the bench. Like, it's not just on the ice constantly.
And it comes to kind of getting back to that whole like doubt in Jordan Stahl too. And I know I've mentioned this before on the pod too, is it even came to a point where a reporter sat there and asked him, there is not production from you lately. What makes you confident in that you're leading this team properly? And he's just kind of like, as long as we are scoring goals and we are doing what our guys need to do, I know I'm doing my part as a captain. A captain doesn't always need to be a flashy, Austin Matthews, Steven Stamkos, Gabe Landeskog kind of player. Like, as long as your player is being a leader and you are doing what you need to do and helping lead your guys and helping your guys, the guys that you're captaining or whatever, the guys that are underneath you, helping them be the best that they can be, you were doing all that you need to do.
It's the accountability and the selflessness that makes him a good captain. But of course, like, the media, they don't like that because they're like, he's not scoring all these goals. He's kind of like, that's the role of a captain. And it's like, that's not why you select a captain. If you're going to select someone that's a top goal scorer, you're going to pick some of these guys that have no reason to run a team except that they can score goals. And that might not count for anything in leadership. They're just really good with a puck and a stick.
Yeah.
So,
Sam, what were you saying?
I think I've said it before on here, but, I heard somebody say and compliment Carolina on another podcast and say, there's not one superstar on the team. It's a superstar team.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that a lot of people know.
Sorry, Bailey. And that's coming from somebody from a Philadelphia podcast.
Yeah.
Saying that.
We love to hear that, considering going into the playoffs last year that everyone was like, they don't really have that star power. And you're like, okay, but what if that star power doesn't show up for one game? We're fine.
And then you gotta
not going to bring up the Rangers and their storm. That was a whole team drought. That wasn't just one person.
Right.
And you got to think about it. It's not just about the name that's on the back, because you can have someone like Svechnikov. Wow, Bailey, I got it right.
Yes.
You can have someone like Svechnikov. You can have someone like Natchez. You can have someone like Patches. But it's the logo that's on the front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
I mean, look at the Oilers. You have big names in the back, and they can't get forward. Because if that person gets shut down, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
The team crash.
Kind of going back on something that I think both you, Bailey, and Kat have said, though, in bringing somebody like Paul in, kind of like what Sam just said, we don't have any official superstars, if you would call them that. The whole team is. And that's something that I like, that when they bring guys in, they're kind of under the radar. Like, I would say Paul Stastny is kind of a big name because he's been around for so long. But, like, in a production standpoint, when you compare him to, like, I don't know, Crosby or Ovechkin or somebody like that, he's not that level. No. But I like how we bring in smaller name guys or even kind of bigger names like him, and like the team itself thrives. And, just kind of talking about the lines and stuff. It's kind of like these younger guys, like KK or Jarvis or somebody who's like actually on the team and not playing AHL or, both, is Rod's going to give them that time, and they kind of need to step up like the AHL guys of like, hey, like you want to be the second center, you're going to need to play like the second center.
Oh, absolutely.
And, talking about people earning it and stuff like that. Well, you're not going to know how he plays at second line center if he's not playing there like often.
And that's exactly the point of preseason and preseason games and these rookie games, is to see rookie games, especially see how these kids play. The preseason games, they throw the kids into preseason games to see where they are. If these kids make it to like the first or second preseason game and then they don't make it to the third, they're a late cut and they get sent to the AHL.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it'll be interesting to see where he fits in, but also too, like how he thrives here, because there are players who have gone on from the Canes and to go other places who were okay or even good here, but they're even better away.
Oh yeah.
I mean, sorry, Jeff Skinner, I love you, but like him going from playing here in Carolina and the caliber of players that we have to Buffalo, you thought he was going to thrive with Eichel. And Eichel's not there anymore.
Yeah.
And then bringing back to my beloved Lindholm, he did well here. He was good. But you then place him on a line with Gaudreau and Monahan, and he has one of the best seasons of his career.
Yeah.
And so it just depends on the team dynamic, who they play with, who you put them with, pair them with, and just kind of see where they fit. So, like you said, I could see him on the second line. I could not see him on the third because Rod doesn't change his third.
No.
But then with the fourth, I mean, honestly, it's a steal to get somebody like Paul for less than what we're paying Martin up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I think is also key in cap space issues as well.
Where Don Waddell's magic comes in handy.
Exactly.
The magic worker. No, I don't know. And it's one of those things too. And I talk with a lot of people about this all the time, is that our team is, and like we've mentioned multiple times, we are not a team that has one singular superstar. We are a superstar team. And I think that and that says a lot about the versatility and the depth that the Canes have versus other people in the league and other teams in the league, where you see them run their specific set lines that maybe change once in a blue moon. Whereas Rod does not run a lineup. He runs lines. He decides, okay, what lineup is going to be best fit given the team that we are going up against. We know this one line is not changing, but what do the others look like? And so it's one of those things too, where you see a lot of scoring depth down all of our lines. You're not like, you're seeing our 20 goal scorers and our guys like Aho, Svech, all those guys, but you see a lot of scoring down the lineup too. Like we saw a bunch of production in a few of the games that Stepan played. Stepan was a fantastic, what you would call fourth liner.
Speaking of Stepan, Andrew Rinaldi, our friend, calls Stepan stepdaddy. Just like.
I love it.
I love Step. I don't know how you say it. I say Stepan.
Whatever.
I hate to go off topic, but like I had a mild heart attack when I just came across Twitter and I saw Sebastian Aho and then I saw Isles next to it and I was like, oh, that's Sebastian Aho.
Yeah, that one. The Swedish one, I think. I think he's Swedish.
Yeah. There was a police report coming out of Sweden that he blew a 0.03 blood alcohol content, which is 0.01 over Sweden's legal limit of 0.02. Get him a beer.
Our Aho was last in Switzerland, so it's definitely not him.
No.
I was gonna say, isn't he in Paris now for the NHL?
He's taking some model shots.
Oh yeah. No, dude is a freaking model. I swear.
I know.
I don't
saw
know
those pictures and I was like, hello.
Getting to that part of the podcast. No, I don't know, but like kind of tying. I don't know. It's one of those things, and it, like I said, and Jules, we kind of touched on it earlier. Is like it's one of those things. Where does this? What system is going to be best for Paul Stastny? Are we going to see a different side of Paul Stastny coming out than we maybe saw him in Colorado, in Winnipeg, when he played for Vegas in his small feat of it? It's what exactly are we going to see? Are we going to see him adding to that scoring depth that we are so well known for? Is he just going to be kind of a guy on the ice like we see Jesper Fast is, where you're not exactly seeing him put up a lot of points, but something I preach a lot to people is every guy on a team has his set role. It may not be for goal scoring. Maybe it's just to be a pest on the ice. Vincent Trocheck was very good at being both. Jacob Slavin, he is known
about scoring.
No, Jacob Slavin is not a goal-scoring defenseman. He is not an offensive defenseman. You look to shut down a line and you think Jacob Slavin,
Right?
And so it's just a matter of what kind of role is Paul Stastny going to play, and I think that's going to play a lot into where Rod is going to mainly place him when it comes to lines.
And and we might have stepdaddy back.
Yeah, we still have to wait to see what that PTO turns into.
Yeah. So I know we have another segment to get to, but I actually have cap friendly up regarding Carolina. Projected cap hit is $85.1 million. There's a lot of other numbers, and I don't feel like saying them. Projected cap space is zilch.
Yep. And that's with Patches not on LTIR yet.
Yeah. So currently, it's $2,616,917 over cap.
Yeah.
Roster size is 21 of 23. Contracts are 44 out of 50, and reserve list is 76 out of 90. And there's 2 injuries. Your forwards take up $43.8 million. The defense takes up $23.5 million. Goalies take up $6.5 between Anderson and Ranta. And IR, which Patches and Gardner are on, take up $11 million.
Our defense is a freaking steal.
Mm-hmm.
You just read that our injured and are almost what our defense are. They are a steal. The fact that we have Jacob Slavin and Brett Pesce for this price point is insane.
Oh yeah,
and
we're going to have to worry about re-signing Slavo in a few years. Though,
terrified. You can't let him go. Like, you have to pay anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm praying that, and I pray. I mean, I say this for every guy, and I know it's their job. So, as much as I look for promotions in my own job and want more money and raises and everything, I'm always like, please let the culture win out. Please make a little bit less, especially because it's not that expensive to live in Raleigh. It's fine.
It's growing, but it's.
I just want to make this point that I'm looking on Cap Friendly. They already have Jalen Chatfield penciled in for defense.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. Which is very exciting to me, but it's one of those
my demographic because I'm scared.
But they don't have Drury. They just have Chatfield.
They just have Chatfield pull up. But it's one of those things too. Even taking Chatfield out of the equation, we have a lot of depth, especially on our right wing, which is where we were kind of struggling after the idea of what was going to happen to Tony DeAngelo. And now that we're this far into the offseason, which, by the way, Tony DeAngelo and Sam are now besties, so we have to put a little respect on his name just to respect Sam.
I showed him my TikTok, and I was like, at least it's not the most disrespectful one.
When I showed him, he started cracking up. He found it so funny.
Well, it's funny.
You showed him a TikTok of cats?
Yeah.
So it's the one where it has him not
the dun dun dun
where it's him coming and the Philly fans are and they're freaking out. So I'm like, well, to be fair, it's it can be taken in a good way, but I was like, there could be worse. So she saw it and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I put this out there for everyone to see and I'm still embarrassed.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
But
So
honestly, sorry, Bailey, my Philly friends found it hilarious. They're like, some of them don't even like the guy, and they're like, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's
No,
what I
don't
go
know.
for. I
Yes.
want to appease to. It's funny when I get comments when obviously I'm talking about something with the Canes, and I'll have people comment and they're like, "You don't know the pain of da 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 team," and I'm like, "Oh, trust me, that's why I made this. I understand it's universe."
Bringing light in a sea of dark.
Yes.
Right.
I don't know, but like it's one of those things. Like we had so much space to fill, and now we have too much that we like. It's almost too much to kind of for
so
yeah.
many winners.
And it's one of those things. Like, how are we as fans who have no idea what's going through the heads of people officially taking care of all of this? How are we as fans supposed to comprehend and be like, okay, what's going to happen with this? Like, who exactly is going to slot in? Like, what is their thought process?
Right.
So.
I mean, I was a little worried, honestly, like losing Trocheck, losing Nino, and I'm like, who is going to fill that spot? But then after looking at our depth and then looking at the few people that we have signed in the offseason, I'm not worried.
Yeah.
Would it be nice if we had Patches and Nino? Yes.
Yes.
We're never going to keep Trocheck because we wouldn't be able to match that. Like, we never would.
Right.
But when the Patches news came out was when it was, like, the injury was when it was a little bit of, like, could have really used Nina Ryder. But honestly, yeah, like we're overstocked. And so, and it's interesting because like we've said, like we're overstocked in like centers, but we've used them on the wings, and it's just the way, like, it's so interesting because, like, again, we don't know how they're going to use them and how they're comfortable and everything, but that's the power of Rod. He's
right.
like, wing? Here you go. Let's try it. Oh, you're good at it. We're going to keep you there.
Didn't Stastny play with Patches in Vegas?
Yeah.
They're good friends. I
was going to say, I always kind of look at when players come here of like who they played with before and see if they have chemistry there or even if they know people. So I thought that he at least knew him.
So they've said that they've talked a lot. So they're good friends. And then it's funny because they're good friends, and then Burns and Patches apparently had some like butting heads on the ice. So now they're on the same team. So those are interesting connections. And I don't think we've pulled anyone except when we did with the Rangers, where we've pulled someone where like we laid the guy out like the last season before, and then he came and joined our team. I don't think we've had any of those kind of.
Thanks, Brady.
Brady going after Foss, here you go. And then you're like, oh, he was your teammate. It's not just us.
Well, I was going to say, I also love hearing the stories of like Canes players now talking to players who came just because like, hey, they put in a good word.
Yeah.
Or like, like Brady, not necessarily him laying out Foss brought him to the Canes, but like, they already know each other. They've already played with each other. They know how their style of play works with each other. So it's less of a learning curve.
And that's what makes professional sports so interesting too, is there's no like set in stone, like unless you're Vasilevsky or Austin Matthews, like, this guy's going to be on this team for life kind of thing,
right?
Whatever. And so,
we'll never put a rat on our team.
Right. And so it's one of those things too. Like that's just the versatility of the game. Like you never know exactly where you're going to end up.
Right.
And it allows you, it's almost kind of one of those things. Like if you're at a company and somebody from a rival company and you guys butt heads, like there's not like a huge chance that you're ever going to work with that person one-on-one or whatever. With this, like there's I feel like there's not a lot of room to hold grudges. Like you might, if like you personally were sought out by this person on the ice, you'd be like, I'm gonna hate that person for life. Like I feel like there's no room in the game for that kind of thing.
Right. No, it's few and far between. The only ones I mean recently,
like leave it all out on the ice.
Kadri and Bennington, that would probably be the last one I could think of.
Yep.
And to be fair,
Kadri and Blues.
Bennington versus everyone in the league. So
yeah. No, Kadri and Blues fans in general.
It's not the same as Brady knocking out Foss, but I mean, Sebastian did like school Tony in the playoffs, and we wound up getting Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
it's rarely you have like bad blood transfer over for different things. You have
unless you're Tom Wilson.
Yeah.
Or what's his name? Who's our bad boy that we love to hate? I can't think of his name right now. My dad loves his Holla.
Eric Holla.
Oh, brother.
Yeah. I to be fair though, it sounds like he has bad blood with a lot of people. So normally the people that have bad blood are just they don't get along with a lot of people, which is what we thought TA was going to be.
Yeah.
But surprisingly, on our team, I don't think he had any beef with anyone. So
no.
And it's one of those things too. I feel like, especially with the situation he was kind of coming out of, like he was really trying to kind of rebrand for himself and create that kind of environment around himself where he wasn't known for this kind of thing, and he wants people to get to, and his teammates to get to know him as a person that he is in a new environment and kind of create that like new start, that fresh slate for himself.
Yeah, and I feel like it would take a lot to. You already have his teammates on the team that have been with him before that he didn't have bad blood with, and I feel like it takes a lot. I feel like it would take a lot to rub any of our guys the wrong way.
Yeah,
I don't see any of them really not getting along with anyone. So if that had happened, where there was rumors of discourse or anything, I think that would have been a clear sign. But it worked out for the time it did.
I mean, not that this speaks to anything of him or whatever, but after a lot of the playoff games, he would stop for kids, like to autograph, take pictures, like very personable, very friendly, at least I don't want to say in the public eye, but in the public eye. And I feel like he did what he needed to do for us this past season. And I honestly wish him well in Philly.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, he's not.
He's at home in Philadelphia. Like, I feel like the people that don't hate him already in Philly coming from his past, because a lot of people don't like his past. But honestly, I'm not really seeing too many people that are hating on him in Philly. Like, he's kind of at home and he fits in here.
Yeah.
I think people were worried about his relationship, how he's going to do with the coach.
Yeah.
That's what people were worried about.
I'm worried how that whole team is going to do that. I'm not worried about Tony D'Angelo.
They were like, them going to be butting heads and stuff. Honestly,
I'm so excited. Sorry, Kat. I'm so excited to just see Torts have a vein just pop out of the side of his neck.
It's between that and when Rod just chews his gum so much.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean we can close up the TA talk, but honestly, the guy, he's just really passionate about his sport. I know he's probably done some things and he's had his conflicts. He said some things like that, but like I personally think we all make mistakes, and I think we're all on like learning, and like we've all been taught differently as well. Like coming up, like we have generations before us. It's how we're raised, it's the environment we're around. And so I think it was a combination of just he's really passionate about his sport and gets really into the game, which to be fair, when I played soccer, I was very, like, I had girls, we would be super friends, like we became friends off the field. On the field, they were like, we didn't think you were nice because you were so into the game.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, just giving him a chance to kind of learn and grow up. Like, I don't like that the ruling out people, and I don't like judging players based on one interaction and one thing they do, because we don't know them. We just know how they play and what we see there, their few interviews, and then something the media will take and just go with, but we don't know the context for things. We don't know all the other stuff leading up to it. And if it was a mistake, that's fine. Make them own up to it and then let them go. Like, let them move on, let them learn. Because you would want the team, if you were in the only difference is they have all these people's eyes on them. Whereas if you aren't in their shoes, you can make that mistake and no one's going to call you out on it except people around you, and no one's going to know.
And my thing is we've all been 18 at one point. We all made stupid decisions. We all said stupid things. Look, I'm about to be 34 in like less than 3 weeks, and I say and do stupid things every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all about growing and learning. I mean, all of us girls out here right now, we can talk hockey all we want, but like we don't have like, it's just, you don't know everything about everyone. You don't know someone else's shoes until you've been So,
but then here's my thing too. I'm watching hockey to, to take my mind off of things in real life. Okay, I watch it for the entertainment. I love my team, and if you play for my team, therefore I love you. I don't care what you're doing off the ice. I care what you're doing on the ice and the success of the team and winning the Stanley Cup. That's if you contribute to that, then great.
It's also to the point too where I feel like that really dehumanizes players in our eyes, though, too. And it's almost interesting to me because I guess I look at it from a bit of a different lens where, like, yes, I do appreciate the game and I appreciate the players, and especially I appreciate the players on my team. But it's also one of those things, like, I'm a very empathetic, personable person. Like, I want to know the person behind the uniform. And that's why I personally was not a huge fan of TDA, just because of his past, just because of everything that kind of went on there. But it also kind of gave me a love for other guys too, because you see the kind of almost father figure aspect of Jordan Stahl. You see the father aspect of Auntie Ronta and talking about Seth Jarvis and how he contributed to Christmas for his kids and whatever. And it, like, looking at the person behind everything. And so I also think it's really important to, while looking at it at that as that entertainment aspect, and you're going to be like, oh yeah, this guy's not putting up as many points this season, he sucks, whatever, he needs to do better. Like, not just looking at it from that player aspect, but being able to look behind that and be like, oh yeah, he is a person too.
Well, I was going to say, you're absolutely correct. They are people. I used to work at the arena where the Canes play.
Yeah, so you were telling me too.
Stories.
Yes,
I have tons.
Go hit her up. Go hit her up. You have an idea, like, you want a story about any player, she can probably give it to you.
That's absolutely correct. Side thing. I've been to many events as a fan and also working. I interacted with the players. My main job wasn't like directly dealing with them, but we did see them when they entered the arena and when they exited. So I will say, the first time I saw Henrik Lundqvist about 3 feet from me, I almost passed out. But, like, as an employee of the arena, like, I was told by a current Hurricanes player, they're there to do their job just as much as we are. Their job is just to put on skates and play hockey. And so it's nice to know that side of thing. And like you just said, they are people. I had coworkers who were deathly afraid to even, like, look at the players as they were walking in. And I had multiple players tell me, they were like, just say hey, like, we're here. We're working, you're working. It's the same thing. We're people. Just don't be afraid to talk to us. I am friends with one of them, and he even said, or like one day I was working and I was walking when they were walking in, and he was like, oh my gosh, Jules, it's so great to see you. And all my coworkers were like, oh my God, you're talking to him. Like, oh my God, what do we do? And I'm like, it's just, he's my friend. He's a person. Like, I'm just saying, hey, like, and so it's funny too, because they want, and he told me, he was like, can you please just tell everybody to tell us hey, because we're people. When we have bad games, when we have good games, it's good to hear encouragement, So, like, there were times that they lost, and I'd look at Aho or Turbo or any of them and be like, hey, I'm sorry you lost, but, like, great goal, or, something like that, just because they're also, like, human too.
Yeah, they appreciate that kind of acknowledgement. Yeah, like any human would.
Which I feel like the TA thing has kind of shined a light on that, because as we're saying, like, you guys can kind of agree on the same things, is while their job is there to be players and play on the ice, and you can't discredit, like, they have their job to do, so they're going to be put in positions, and teams are going to want them because they're good at their job. So we all have coworkers that outside might not be great, but they're good at their jobs.
Right.
But I'm not going to say also, like, I'm not going to ever say, hey, I'm going to totally discredit what they do off the ice, because obviously my favorite player is Jacob Slavin because of who he is also off the ice. He is such a role model, and he is such the way he is on the ice and around players is how he is off the ice. And there's nothing bad to say about the guy, because he is such a good guy. So I'm never going to discredit what people are off the ice, because that's why I like him as my favorite player as well. I mean, I love he plays defense, but I love his character overall. My thing, I think what came out with this season and in general made me kind of look at it again, and a lot of other people reassess, is you can't really separate them, but you also can't hone in on one side or the other, because while they have a job to do, you also have to be like, okay, but you also be accountable for these things, but also you're still a person. So like you still like, I don't know why you're not getting, I don't know about like second chances or anything like, but like I don't see why we're honing in on your mistakes here. Whereas if you're a person just like you and me, not everyone's going to be honing in on those mistakes. Like you should give them you should give them chances to grow from them.
Right.
That's
Well, kind of like
my main thing. Even though, and like I don't even like TA's thing on the ice. I keep saying TA because for times there wasn't any D there. There was no defense.
No.
As this Slavin girl,
Sam can't help but laugh at that either.
It hurt me.
Yes.
My man was hung out to dry multiple times. Everyone's like, look at that goal he scored. I'm like, look at that goal Slavin had to save. Because
yep.
So
I mean,
it's an interesting thing. Like you have to account for how they are. It's just like that celebrity.
It's a double-edged sword. Truly.
Yeah, like you're a person just.
yeah.
Besties.
Sam was showing her picture with TA, and he might, from what I've heard from people, you've heard multiple things through media. You've heard he's had problems with people. From other people that have met him in person and others, teammates, he's great. So, just like anyone, I think players aren't going to get along with some players, and they're not going to be the best all the time.
Right.
We're not all going to be the best all the time.
Just like Sam said, we all make mistakes. We were all 18 once. I mean, absolutely hold people accountable for their actions and what they do and all that kind of stuff. But also, like, who am I to judge you? Because I
don't know you.
I don't know you on a personal level, and I've also made mistakes too. So honestly, if people kind of knew my past and my mistakes, then they might judge me the same way they're judging them.
Right.
I also have this little gem.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Between Sam, they have all the cool little stories and pictures and hookups. Hookups meaning the players.
If you want to see any canes and suits, I'll feel free to crop myself out. But I have plenty.
Send them over.
Yeah, when they used to do were they like casino kind of night things, Jules?
So it was casino night. Now it's Cane's Bash, but yeah.
Jules has stories from that, and I wish we were better friends then, because I would have been like, Jules, can I tag with you and just like say hi to these really hot players?
Maybe you're +1, please.
Not gonna lie, it's really fun playing ping pong and beating Martiniches.
T.
Also T, my claim to fame that I just tell myself is that Alexander Ovechkin asked me if I wanted to take a picture with him, and I told him no.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding. I was in the area with Caps players a few years ago, and I wanted to meet Andre Burakovsky and TJ Oshie. And so I met TJ Oshie, and kind of Ovechkin was kind of going down the line, and he got to me and he's like, hey, and he was like, you want to get a picture? I was like, no, thank you.
I would have peed myself. Oh my God.
So I kind of regret it because it's Ovechkin and it would be kind of cool to have a picture with him. But I literally told the man, no, thank you.
That is for, for any like awkward, like break the ice or like, hey, get to know me. This is like, fun fact about me. I said no to a picture with Ovechkin because he asked me.
He asked me, and I was like, no, thank you. Kind of still sad that I never got to meet Burakovsky, but it's fine.
So at the end of the 2021 season, like towards the end, we were still on Zoom for media as press conferences, and I got on with he's actually pegged to make the lineup this year for the Flyers, Cam York. I was on. And, I'm starting to talk, not realizing that I'm on mute. Cam York goes, I think you're on mute. And I was like, yes, I was. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry about that. Let me re-ask that.
So then I re-asked the question. It was fine. And then this past February on Super Bowl Sunday, me and my friends went to like the bar across the street from the PPL Center after the game, and players came in, and Cam was one of them. And I asked him, I was like, do you remember like your very first game, your very first interview here in Lehigh? He's like, yeah, I remember that. It's like, you remember the girl that was on mute? And he goes, yeah, I remember that. And I was like, hi. Nice to meet you.
I'm not on mute anymore. That's fantastic. No, I wish I had some cool stories about players. My one claim to fame is that Eric Cole's sister was in my house at one time for a New Year's Eve party. But there's that, and I also have a picture with Steven Stamkos somewhere because my dad was too chicken to ask him for a picture himself. So he was like, let me hide behind my daughter and get a picture with Steven Stamkos. And there was this one, like, I remember Stamkos was right there because this was when they were still doing like the Storm Squad, Junior Storm Squad at the time. And so I was in like my Hurricanes get up. I had like my Canes tattoo on my cheek. Like I was all decked out. I had my poster. It said, keep the stall door closed, whatever. It was great. And so Steven Stamkos and a few of the other Lightning players were walking through, and my dad sees him and he was like, hey, hold up. Can I get a picture of you with my daughter? And I look up at him and I was like, he plays for the Lightning. My dad was like, yeah. I was like, I don't like him. Right in front of Steven Stamkos.
I don't like him. Why are you want me to get a picture of him?
Right, exactly. That's exactly what I said to him. My dad was just sitting, because this was at the time where like, I only know my Canes. And this is the only team I like. Like, I don't care about anything else in the NHL. I know my boys, and that's it. If you're not in a Canes jersey, I don't like you. And my dad's sitting there like cursing himself, like, why are you sitting me embarrassing and sitting in front of him, embarrassing me?
That's a difficult thing to say, though.
Yeah. So like like I said, I was like 10, 11, 12 at the time. So I did get a picture, and that picture is buried. My dad is still trying to find it to this day. But
I got that picture with Gaudreau a week and a half ago. We went out to the lobby because we thought it was him. Well, I already knew it wasn't him. I told my friend Jen, I was like, look, it's not him. Let's just go back inside, finish watching the last game so I can get to my hotel and go to sleep. No less than 30 seconds after coming back in to the One Arena, I look to my right and I slap her on the arm and I'm like, who's next to us? Look who's next to us. I was so quiet about it. And like she was like talking to him, like asked him for an autograph, and like I have enough energy to be like, can I have a picture? And I'm like shaking.
Yep.
Like, I idolize Johnny Gaudreau. Like,
yep.
I haven't met any players, and I'm
so calm down.
So my goal is to, first of all, meet them probably outside, like at the end of the game, like when they're leaving and stuff. I do want to do that. See if I can grab one of them and be like, can I have a picture? Because Jules did get me. She got Slavin. She knows Slavin. I have a personal connection with Slavin, and I need to utilize it. And she got him to sign one of the rally towels for me. But I want to meet them, and honestly, a life goal would not just to meet them, like if they had the casino or whatever those things are, of course. But honestly, I just want to be out one time and be like at a bar and just be like, look over and be like, oh, look who it is.
It's my friend Slavin. No biggie.
Send them a shot on me.
I was going to say the other claim to fame I have in regards to the hockey world. Well, there's two, but one's kind of embarrassing, so I'll just go with one. If you look on Fetch's and Nietzsche's Instagram, there is a picture of me.
And I'm looking now.
From the last Canes Bash, which it was like whodunit themed, so it was kind of mystery-esque. I dressed up as, oh my God, what is his name? Oh, Ransom from Knives Out, so pulled a Chris Evans. I wore like the same jacket and scarf and cable knit sweater, but there is a selfie that got taken by the Canes photographer of Svetch taking of the three of us, and both of them posted it on Instagram.
Okay.
How was it? Like, what was the month or year?
Hold on, I got it right here.
Sorry, I want a picture of Svetch on Santa's lap, so I'm trying to figure out where.
My mom gave me the warning that dinner is here.
Oh.
Also,
sorry, we're holding you up.
His Instagram more, dude.
There you go.
Oh my gosh.
I've seen that one. I remember that one.
That's fantastic.
Wait, is the embarrassing story the one I think it is? Is it when you went out with your mom and her friend?
No.
No.
The embarrassing story was, if there are any fans out there from like 2013 to 2014-esque, this kind of goes in, I guess, to our next segment. If we want to start that with the
yeah, no, we'll get to that here in a second. Yeah,
because we're,
I'll tell my embarrassing story when we get to that point.
Okay, because it's about your person, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So great segue to run into that. So to get kind of towards the end of our episode, something we introduced last episode is our Forgotten Canes segment, where we talk about a cane from way back that people may or may not remember. I know the fan base is full of a lot of new fans that may not be familiar with a lot of the older fans. So a lot of times I kind of like to steer towards the guys that were from the past like decade, 15 years or so, but guys like Zach and Brad from the Storm Cellar, and maybe some of you guys might be able to go a little further back. My guy, so I'll go ahead and start off with mine. My guy joined the Canes. So let me pull up stats so I know I'm not getting anything right or wrong. He joined the Canes 2012. And he previously joined and started his career with Washington before he came to the Canes, and played with us for 3 years before he was bought out and Montreal snatched him up. I don't know if you guys may know who I'm talking about. This is actually a shout out to one of the listeners of the pod and somebody who's a dear friend and like a little brother to me, Noah Farrell, who brought this guy up. And I was like, he's coming. Don't worry. Like, we're going to bring him up. And I figured, why not bring him on now and just kind of get that out of the way, is Alexander Semin.
Yes.
So yes, and long kind of bring up to that. No. So in the totality, the 3 seasons he was with us, first season, he had a total of 44 points. Second season, total of 42 points. And then third season was a total of 19 points, which I have a feeling, I don't know much about the history and why he was bought out, but he had 3 years left on his contract when he was bought out by the Canes. So it's very interesting. And the Canadians got him for a steal, because I want to say the 3 years that he had left on his deal, there was about $7 million left on his contract. So that's a lot of money. And apparently Montreal got it for like way less. And I mean, he did not do that well with Montreal. And after that season with Montreal, he retired. But he had 2 of his 3 seasons with the Canes were pretty great ones. And so, I mean, in those first 2 seasons where he had those 44 and 42 point totals, 13 goals the first season, 22 goals the second. So pretty big. Like he was a stud back in what we call ye olden dark times, or at least part of those dark times. And so that is my Forgotten Cane. Sam.
Look, I'm gonna kind of
I love it.
I'm not going to participate in this segment because I feel like I'm too new.
No, that's not true.
Picked. Like, I don't
we had you participate in the draft. You might as well.
Who's a guy that you know played for the Canes that kind of first comes off your head, who's kind of like a lesser known guy? Just go there.
Bailey, I don't even know at this point.
Okay, you can think and I can go.
Think on it. Do your research. We have to have you go. You have to. It's a rite of passage now.
I'll have my chicken fingers waiting for me.
Okay. So my guy he's not that old. He was one of our Swedes. He was in the trade for Vincent Trocheck. So overall, people would think we won that trade.
Okay.
But I love this man. He was a very much he's just a hard worker. He would show up when we needed him to, but he was just a grind player. Like he was a Brenda Moore player. And honestly, those are the ones I love. I love our superstars, but I love the guys that just put in 100% whenever they're on the ice. So my guy is Lucas Wallmark.
Okay.
So he actually was a checker, and then he came to us, and we had him, and I just remember all the times, like, again, he was just consistent. Like, he wasn't our top goal scorer. He wasn't flashy, but he was consistent. And then we traded him, Hala, and I'm so bad at saying his name,
Luosterainen?
Yes, for Trocheck. And in the end, it looks like we won that trade because Hala went on, and Wallmark, we traded them to the Florida Panthers. And in the end, Wallmark isn't playing in the NHL anymore. He's not retired. Honestly, I think it's a shame that he's not, because I think he's a very consistent player, and I think he has more ups than some players that are in the NHL right now.
Yes.
Stop showing pictures of you guys.
I was getting ready to pull up. I was about to pull up mine, so I'm
unless
glad
I Photoshop it. I don't. Stop it.
I was 17 years old when I got that picture at Escape with the Canes event.
Yes, but from everyone I've known, like everyone that's met him, he's a very good guy. Nice.
So when I met him, and I didn't have like a big interaction with just because there were like a million other people at that event when I was there. From what he's a very like quiet, kind of keep to himself kind of guy from what I remember. Like he's not super outspoken.
He's kind of a quiet contributor too.
Yeah, and so but that like I feel like that somewhat ties into the play that I remember, because I remember him, the game that I remember most, and I actually saw him in person for this game, was when the first time I saw the Canes come to Colorado, December of 2019. And Lucas, I sat in the corner on lower bowl, and Lucas Wallmark was right there. And it that was when nobody scored until like the last like 5-10 minutes of the game, like third period. And I remember him doing a lot to contribute that night too. Like it was one of those things, like he didn't do that well, but once we kind of got into the gritty part of that third period, like you saw a lot of those guys step up, and he was definitely one of those players that stood out to me.
Yeah, and watching Foss play reminds me a lot of him.
I
feel like they're very similar. And to be fair, I think a lot of again, Trocheck was a really good pickup for us. I remember at the time I was like, I wish we didn't have to give up Wally for that. And I didn't know a lot about Trocheck, and so I was like, oh, I'm so nervous. But Tro ended up being great. I feel bad because Wallmark ended up going to the Panthers, but at the time of this was during COVID. So he had struggled with them because of COVID, because the season was cut and everything. And then he got sent to the Blackhawks, which I feel just so sorry for him. Sent to the Blackhawks. But that was also struggling. Like he was struggling to get on a new team during COVID. And so then he just didn't get offers to come back. And so he's been playing, I think last time he was over in the KHL. And I honestly think, I think he could be back and playing and could be a very solid third or fourth line for a team. But yeah, I just always remember that he was one of those consistent guys that, like, again, wasn't super flashy, which might have contributed during the COVID times if you weren't super flashy and didn't show like why you should be being kept on, because you're like, your season's being cut short. You really need to show up because, hey, we got to figure out what we're going to keep because we're losing money because COVID. But he was always one that I know all the fans were really excited for. He would score and everyone would go super excited because you knew he put in the work for that. He would just go up like crazy last minute and be like, oh yeah, he got that tip in. And you'd be like, yes. So he's not that old of a, and he might not be forgotten for a lot of people because obviously he came with the Trotrek trade, but I always loved him, and he is a Cane that I wish he was still playing in the NHL, and two, I think he could really always love for them to be. He couldn't be a Cane because we have too many people, but
right.
But yeah, when I see Fox, it reminds me a lot of him.
Yeah, and I definitely see where that connection can be drawn to. So
Weeds, though.
Yep. But
Okay.
no, great choice. Before we get to you, Sam, you have your pick?
Yes.
Okay. We'll let you sit on it for a little bit, Jules. Jules.
Okay. Well, I went deep in the archives for this one.
Okay.
Because I called it out and I thought I was going to know which one it was.
I feel like you have to lead into your story with this one.
Kat, who did you think I was going to choose?
I already told you that it was going to be Lindy.
Okay, but no. He does play into this story, though. So, my forgotten Cane is from Michigan. He was drafted 72nd overall by the Canes in 2007.
Okay.
He played for the Canes. He got called up in the 2009 playoffs. That was his first time in a Canes uniform. Then he kind of bounced around the AHL, and then they brought him up for good for a while. My forgotten Cane is Drayson Bowman.
Oh, okay.
Drayson Bowman. So he played for the Canes, kind of floating around after 2009 until I think it's 2013-esque. He wound up playing for the Canes for a while, and then in 2011, I think he kind of fully went down to Charlotte. He played there for a few years, and then after that, in 2013, 2014, he did a tryout with Montreal, and he actually signed with Montreal in that season. And then after that, he was in the ECHL in Colorado, and then got loaned back to Charlotte for a while. And then he went and played in Dusseldorf, Germany.
All righty.
So what I'm hearing is no one is thriving in Montreal.
If that is what you take from it, then sure. I had the pleasure of meeting him multiple times. Drayson is a great guy, always so nice, personable. But this kind of goes back into my embarrassing story. I have a really good friend, I still do. She's a great friend. Who, when he got called up back in the early 2010s-ish, she fixated on him. He became her favorite player, and she would make signs for him every game.
Okay.
So, when my favorite player, Elias Lindholm, joined the Hurricanes, I was a season ticket holder my senior year of high school, which was that year. And I made signs for Elias every single home game.
Okay.
We would make signs that would fit together like puzzle pieces. We were known as the Canes sign girls around the arena, around games.
Okay.
Even within the team. I made a sign for Elias. I don't know if it embarrassed him, but I made a sign for him. And apparently that night when they got on the plane to go to an away game, it was all the team could talk about. I was told this by the Hurricanes reporter at the time, who took a picture of me with the sign and posted it on Twitter.
Okay.
And then embarrassing. This is so embarrassing. But I have a picture of me and Elias with the sign, and he signed it. So
I want to know what the sign said.
So we would make signs like for birthdays or for like just who they were playing. So like she would always, my friend, like going duck hunting, dethrone the kings. We would come up with things like that. This sign in particular that I'm talking about, it was when Elias went to play in the World Juniors that year. And Team Sweden got silver. So I painted a sign that looked like the Swedish flag and said, silver in Sweden, but gold in my heart.
I love it. That is fantastic.
Yeah. So let's see here.
That's still not the story I'm thinking of.
I'm not telling that story to anybody, okay?
Okay, you have to tell it off the pod because that is fantastic. Yes.
Yes.
I know this picture.
I love it.
So in your art.
From that point on, we were the sign girls, and everybody on the team, everybody at the arena knew it. And so, I wouldn't have been Elias's sign girl without Drayson. So thank you, Drayson, for
beautiful goal and beautiful Forgotten Cane.
Yeah, he beautiful. Played. He would always play on a line with Derek Jocelyn and Anthony Stewart, two other Forgotten Canes. So.
Yes.
This is why I tell Jules I want to grow up and be like her.
I'm not that cool, I promise. Okay,
you really are, though.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't care how many stinking TikTok followers I have. If I haven't met a single cane like you guys have.
I mean, TDA. See, you have to have a connection with some of them, and then they'll remember you when they move on. I have a friend who made a video for me when Elias went to New York. They recorded a video, and he told me that he couldn't wait to come to Raleigh, and he would see me soon. I have been to Calgary to a Canes versus Flames game, and him and some other players noticed me. So I was the only one in the sea of red wearing a blue Swedish jersey. But
I love it.
I want to be you when I grow up.
Just embarrass yourself. And they'll remember you.
There you go.
Or just keep yourself on mute when you're on Zoom.
Remember, yes.
Listen, I tried to embarrass myself for Nino and he didn't notice it. And now he's gone. That might also tie into why I'm a little salty.
That's okay.
It's okay. I've learned.
Last but not least, Sam, what'd you come up for with us?
Sorry, guys. I'm getting a little hangry. So I'm getting a little testy over here. So this guy comes from Minnesota. He was drafted round 2 in 2006, 63rd overall by the Canes. Jamie McBain.
Yes!
Boehner. Yes. Beautiful pick.
He came to the Canes in 2009, 2010. He played 14 games and then was sent to the AHL affiliate at the time, Albany River Rats. Horrible name for a team. Just Firebirds, but that's just me. And then he was more of a playmaker than he was a goal scorer. Like I'm just looking at his assists. His assists were much higher than his goal number.
Oh yeah.
Which is, I think it's more important than a goal scorer on a team.
Mm-hmm. And it goes back into what we were saying earlier about roles on the team. Yep. So that was his role. Absolutely.
Then he left the Canes at the end of the 12-13 season, and he retired at the end of the 2018 season with Syracuse Crunch.
Alrighty. Beautiful pick.
Fun fact about Jamie, he is one of a handful of Canes players who have met their wives from the Storm Squad.
Oh.
That's so cute.
That's adorable, actually.
It makes me want to be a part of the Storm Squad.
I know.
The useless knowledge that I have on multiple Canes.
That's so cute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a few of them that met their wives on the Storm Squad, and he is one of them.
That is adorable.
I believe he got married in 2014.
I feel like I've aged out of that, but that would have been a cool goal.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. No, but thank you guys for coming onto the pod for Ladies' Night. I enjoy and treasure all of you. You guys are a big reason why I love being a Canes fan, and I love interacting on hockey Twitter. So thank you guys for being you. Before I let you guys go, which I know it's been almost 2 hours at this point, Sam, where can people find you on the socials?
Where can they not find me is the question. I at Samantha Wismer on Twitter. Also, I write for a Flyers outlet called Flyers Nitty Gritty, and then I also have an AHL show premiering hopefully next Thursday.
Yes, I'm so excited to check it out too.
It's gonna be live, so it's gonna be a live podcast. You can view it on Twitter, YouTube, all that. I'm going to be doing it with two gentlemen. One that I met through the fans. His name is Robert Caplett. And the host of the show is Dan Bradley. And it will be hosted by Old City Sports Network, which I also cover the Canes and the Wolves for. And I will also be giving them AHL coverage. So yeah. Follow them too. It's Old City Sports. It's old_sports on Twitter. But it's OLDE because Philadelphia.
Yeah, no, that is definitely, once that drops, if you like me are looking to get into the AHL world, they are definitely going to be a great resource for you. Definitely go check them out. I have all the faith and cannot wait to see where that podcast goes.
Also, I just want to say that I am super proud of the network and Joey D'Amiglio, who is the lone host of Ice Cold Takes podcast. He got to interview Kevin Weeks after pestering him for 80 days on social media.
That is fantastic.
And he did
Awesome.
an amazing job. And Kevin is such a wealth of knowledge. Like, I cannot say enough about him. I watched him and I was just zoned in.
That is fantastic. I will need to check that out.
That's so exciting. And I don't know a lot about AHL, so everyone go check out Sam because I ask her all my AHL questions.
You won't believe the amount of messages I get a week. Like, what's going on? I'm like,
let me type up my new article. No, Jules, where can everybody find you?
Twitter, Jules1653. And then I'm not a queen of TikTok as Kat is, but for the occasional hockey or Canes TikTok / pop culture, it is JULESS 2809. I used to take photos at hockey games. I'm still trying to think about a place to post those, but as of right now, just Twitter and TikTok.
She posts good one too. She's taking pictures of me at Twitter or at hockey games, and they're great.
For all your hockey photography needs, contact me on Twitter.
Yes. And she is a great follow too. Like I mentioned earlier, if you want any story about probably any former Cane, she's probably got them. Definitely hit her up. I know I will.
That is true.
And
I'm always liking her tweets.
And then last but not least, before we get on to just my stuff, Kat, where can everybody find you?
Yes, so you can find me on Twitter at Caniac Chick. I promise I'm not always just raging about our jerseys. I will also, but I love to talk anything hockey there. You guys can DM me, message me, comment. I love talking, honestly, anything. And then also, I'd love if you guys follow on TikTok, it's Katergy, so it's KATERGY, and then 74 for my man Slavo. Yeah, I love a follow there. I love to post. It's mostly Canes things, but every now and then it's a general hockey thing. But honestly, again, I just love talking hockey with anyone. So
I gotta say, I followed you, and I still have yet to receive a follow back.
Wait, for Twitter or TikTok?
TikTok.
Oh, okay, I'll get back on that.
Called out. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, but yeah, if you follow her on Twitter, it's impossible to not enjoy her TikTok content. She is a great follow. In getting back to podcast stuff and me, you can find me on Twitter at Bailey Curtis, and that's Bailey with 2 Y's. If you're interested in some more of my kind of personal life where I'm not as avid about hockey, you can find me on Instagram at Bailey Lynn Curtis. Definitely go follow the pod at the SurgeCast. We have a link tree in our bio where you can find all of our listening platforms. Definitely go give the podcast a listen. If you are on YouTube, hello. Definitely hit that subscribe button and that bell button to get notified of our episode drops. I promise it's a lot of fun. We will be soon dropping some YouTube exclusive content, so be on the lookout for that. And then last but not least, our beautiful network, Belly Up Sports. Definitely go follow up Belly Up Sports. If you're looking for hockey content specifically, go give Belly Up Hockey a follow on Twitter. They have content ranging from NHL, AHL, ECHL, World Juniors, college hockey, any of your hockey desires, you can find it on Belly Up Hockey. But until next episode 9, where my co-host will be making his glorious return, I will see you guys next time here at the SurgeCast.
Thank you for listening to this Belly Up Media production. Some said we'd go belly up, so we made it our name. And we're still here.